Picking up where we left off at, we factor out a -1, so that changes the sign of both of these terms here. So this +4 becomes -4, this minus x becomes plus x. Now, what we need to do is write these two parentheses from the numerator, but in our denominator, we'll still write -1, but we will turn this around here. So the x will go first, which is positive, and then -4. Now we do have values that are alike that we could simplify out, these x minus 4s. Now we would be left with x plus 3 divided by -1. Now if we divide each one of these individual terms by -1, it will give us -x minus 3. And that is the final answer for D. Now note, it is very important to notice what we don't do in these problems. We never reduce without making sure the problem is in factored form first. That means that we only cancel, I say simplify, factors. We never simplify terms. Okay, now, objective 3. Solve applied problems involving rational expressions. A company that manufactures bicycles has costs given by the equation C equals 100x plus 100,000 over x, in which x is the number of bicycles manufactured and C is the cost to manufacture each bicycle. Okay, find the cost per bicycle when manufacturing 500 bicycles. So we know x is how many bicycles you manufacture. So we'll take, and I'll start here, we'll take C is equal to 100 times 500, because we know x represents 500, plus 100,000, all over 500. Now 100 times 500 is 50,000, plus 100,000, all over 500. So now we will have 150,000 all over 500. Now we know we could divide both of these by 100, and that will give us 1,500 over 5. 1,500 divided by 5 is 300, and it's $300 because we're dealing with cost. Now, again, you can use your calculator to simplify this problem out. Now, we come here to B. It says find the cost per bicycle when manufacturing 4,000 bicycles. Okay, so we have our cost as C is equal to 100 times 4,000 plus 100,000 divided by 4,000. 100 times 4,000 is 400,000 plus 100,000 divided by 4,000. Now 400,000 plus 100,000 we know will give us 500,000 all over 4,000. Now we know that we could divide this numerator and denominator by 1,000, so that would get rid of these last 3 zeros. So we will have 500 divided by 4. Now when you put that in your calculator, it'll end up being $125. So if you notice, the price is going down. Okay, now it says, does the cost per bicycle increase or decrease as more bikes are manufactured? The cost per bicycle decreases as more bicycles are manufactured. Now you cannot just write decrease. You have to write out this whole statement. The cost per bicycle decreases as more bicycles are manufactured. Now we come to section 7.2 and 7.5. multiplying and dividing rational expressions. Objective 1, multiply rational expressions. So let's go through this here. We could do 5 times 6 is 30, and 9 times 7 is 63. Now 30 and 63, both of these have 3 in common, and that will give you 10 over 21, and that's it. Now it says here, the product of the rational expressions P over Q and R over S is P over Q times R over S, which is equal to, we could put PR all over QS. That is, to multiply rational expressions, multiply the numerators and multiply the denominators. And then it says factor all numerators and denominators completely, divide numerators and denominators by common factors, and multiply the remaining factors in the numerators and multiply the remaining factors in the denominators. So this is a strategy that could be used. So let's take a look here. We have this rational expression times this rational expression. Now we have x, and we know we're going to multiply this by this numerator. So we'll do x times. Let's factor this before we multiply everything. X squared minus 6x plus 8. Now you all could take the time to do this at your leisure, but I'm going to just go ahead and give you all the answer here to be x minus 4 and x minus 2. Now our denominator, we have the difference of two squares, which is x plus 2 and x minus 2. And then x plus 5, we just bring that over as well. Now we simplify out what they have in common. Only thing they have in common here is the x minus 2. So our final answer will be x times the parenthesis x minus 4 divided by x plus 2 and x plus 5. And that's it. Okay, now we scroll down here to the next problem. It says example 2, find the product. Okay, first of all, 2x minus 7 we can't factor. So we'll write it as 2x minus 7, but I'm going to put it in a parenthesis. X to the 4th is just x to the 4th. Divided by x to the 3rd is just x to the 3rd. 3x plus 5, we have nothing in common here, so we'll just write down 3x plus 5 in parentheses. Now, if you notice here, x to the 4th and x to the 3rd, they have common factors. So what we would do is this. Both of these can be divided by x to the 3rd. So what would happen is this here. We would end up with, well, let's try something different here. I want to change that. Instead of dividing by x to the 3rd power, why don't we do what we learned before? We know that this 2x minus 7 and this 3x minus 5, we cannot simplify that. So we could write those. Now we could take this x to the 4th over x to the 3rd. And remember, when we have the same base, we keep the base and subtract the exponents. So x to the 4 minus 3 would be x to the 1st. So we know this x will go in our numerator. So our final answer would be x times the parenthesis 2x minus 7 over 3x plus 5. Now we go here to b. Now we factor out our numerator. We could factor out a 5 here, and we would have x minus 3, and then times 21x. All over. We have 7 here, and we could factor out a 2, and that will leave us x minus 3. Now watch this. These x minus 3's will simplify out. And we know 7 and 21 both have 7 in common. 7 goes into 7 once. 7 goes into 21 3 times. So what we will have left is 5 times 3x, which is 15x. And 1 times 2 is 2. So that is the final answer for B. Now we scroll down here to C. Now again, since we covered factoring in chapter 6, you could just go back to chapter 6 if you're having trouble with how I factored this. Go back to chapter 6 and rebrush up on your factoring. But x squared plus 6x plus 9 will factor to be x plus 3 times x plus 3. Now this 8x squared minus 6x, they both have 2x in common. And you'll be left with 4x minus 3. Now your denominator, 20x minus 15, you can factor out of 5. And you have 4x minus 3. And then this x squared minus 9, you can factor that to x plus 3 and x minus 3. Now we simplify out what they have in common. We have an x plus 3. We have a 4x minus 3. And that is the only thing they have in common. So in our numerator, we have 2x times x plus 3. In our denominator, we have 5 times x minus 3. And we're done. Now we go here to d. Now we factor out our numerator for d. T squared minus 3t minus 10 will give us t minus 5 and t plus 2. And then we can factor out a 3t here. So this would be times 3t. And in parentheses, we will have 2t minus 1. Now in our denominator, 2t squared minus 9t plus 4. So we will have 2t minus 1. Okay, we have 2t minus 1. And also we will have t minus 4. That would take care of this first polynomial. And then this here, this is the difference of two squares, which is t minus 2, and also t plus 2. Okay, now we simplify out what we have in common. We have t plus 2's in common, and that, and 2t minus 1's in common. So we would be left with 3t times the parenthesis t minus 5 in our numerator. In our denominator, we'll have t minus 4 and t minus 2. And that is our final answer for D. Now we scroll on down. Now we deal with division. Now we have 4/9 divided by 5/6, which is 4 over 9 times 6 over 5. Now we know we multiply straight across, which is 24, and 9 times 5 is 45. Now 24 and 45 has 3 in common, which will give us 8 over 15. Now again, we write the first fraction the same, division becomes multiplication, and we take the reciprocal of the second fraction. Now we come down here. If P and Q and R over S are any two rational expressions with R over S not equal to 0, then P over Q divided by R over S is P over Q times S over R, because you have to take the reciprocal. And then we would take P S all over Q R. Now, let's try this out here. Now, we have M squared minus 16 over M plus 3. Change division to multiplication. Be M squared minus 9 over M minus 4. Now, we could do what we did with the multiplication. Let's factor each one of these. This is the difference of two squares. It'll be M minus 4 and M plus 4. And then the second portion here, difference of two squares, M minus 3 and M plus 3. Now our denominator, we have M plus 3 and M minus 4. Now we simplify. The M plus 3's and the M minus 4's will simplify out. And now your numerator, you add M plus 4 times M minus 3 all over 1. And we know anything divided by 1 is itself, so it's M plus 4, M minus 3. And that is our final answer. Now we go to our next example. It tells us to divide. So we have 6x cubed all over 5. Change division to multiplication. And we take